What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in the Khaliis Take. You know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. But hey, let's just go ahead and jump right in. You know, you hear the media talk about LeBron James showing frustration and, just defeat and just, a lot of pain going along with this Lakers season. But I mean, what do they expect? I mean, really, this guy is playing out of his mind this season. He might actually possibly win a scoring title this season. And, he would be in the MVP conversation if his team was winning, but they're not. And when you think about everything that's went on this season, a lot of it's his fault. But nobody's really talking about that because he wanted Russell Westbrook, knowing that Russell Westbrook is not a high IQ basketball player. And that's the part that really bugs me the most. As much high IQ basketball as LeBron James has, why would he take a chance on a player who doesn't have no high IQ when it comes to basketball, and he's just all talent and all about stats? He doesn't have no IQ about, I shouldn't say Russell Westbrook doesn't have no IQ about basketball, because he does. If he didn't, he wouldn't be in the NBA, right? But what I'm saying is he doesn't have a high IQ in regards to winning and what it takes to win championships. He doesn't have a high IQ when it comes to that. And that's the reason why a lot of superstar players probably don't want to play with Russell Westbrook. And, very good reason why they don't, because as I said, he's really good when it comes to getting his numbers and things like that. But it's more than just getting numbers. It's more to it than that. It's about, winning championships. It's about putting yourself in position to be looked at as the best player or the best players or the best team in the NBA. That's what it's about too. And Russell Westbrook just doesn't have that IQ for the game. The game is too much like a job to him rather than just a career. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it seems like when you listen to Russell Westbrook talk at times, it's more like he's taking it as he's going to a 9-to-5 job and he's putting in his 8 hours. And after he does his 8 hours, he's going to the house and living his life with his family. And that's really not how a lot of great players look at basketball. They look at it more like a career. This is my lifestyle. This is who I am. This is what makes me get up every day and go do this to support my family. But I love doing this every day, and this is who I am. And it's almost like Russell Westbrook doesn't carry that mentality. So that probably frustrates LeBron all on his own, but LeBron James' frustrations are probably at their highest peak right now, because the Lakers don't look like they're going to win anytime soon. And if they do win a game here and there, it's not good enough, because you are almost 10 games under 500 basketballs what you're playing, and LeBron James is putting up all these stats and they just look like a bunch of empty calories because they're not equating to anything. And he knows for himself, it doesn't matter about the stats that you have. If you're not winning with those stats, what does it really matter? It's almost, defenseless stats. You can't really speak on them because, you could say a guy that's been in the league 18, 19 years is doing very well for himself, better than any other player who's been in the league close to 20 years has ever done. But at the same time, if it's not equating to winning, he really isn't doing no better than any other older player that's played in the league. He's putting up more points because he has more of an opportunity to do that, because the Lakers are playing so bad, and the Lakers have a lot of injuries on, well, not a lot, but they have injuries to their main players on there as well, like Anthony Davis, which, a lot of people feel is preventing them from actually being a better team. And I've said before, I don't think they'll be that much of a better team with Anthony Davis, because I remember earlier this season when they played all three of them, Davis, Westbrook, and James, all three of them played. They lost games all three together. I mean, they were up by 26 points, I think, one time against OKC, the OKC Thunder, and they come back and win. I mean, I just don't understand it. This is what I'm saying. They've lost games with all three players on the floor. So LeBron's frustrations, if he has any, which we know he does, it's way beyond what people can imagine, because he's looking like a joke on TV now. And that's something that he just can't live with. And he's starting to show his frustrations on the court, as they're talking about. Like against that Toronto game, he throws the ball off a defenseless player, which is nothing, because if anybody's ever played basketball, That's what you do when you run out of bounds. If you run out of bounds and you're caught in midair, you don't want to step out of bounds of the ball. Otherwise, it's going to be a turnover. So you throw it off of the guy that's closest to you, whether it's his leg, his arm, or whatever the case may be, so you can keep possession. But now they're taking that as in like he's showing frustration. That's just really competitiveness. That's not frustration, but his overall frustrations has a lot more to do with than just that one play against Toronto. I mean, he's way beyond frustrated. If you look at the way this team is panning out, the way his season is ending, and the way, they're just looking as a team overall. They look like a very discombobulated team. They don't look together. They don't look like they fit, and they don't fit. And it really looks like a bunch of guys that have a lot of talent, but don't know how to really utilize their talent and put it all together as a unity and go out there and win games like most people think all Lakers teams should. And the Lakers have had their struggles throughout the years, but I've said before, this is probably the worst Laker team I've ever seen, because even when they had Kobe, Dwight Howard, and Steve Nash, it was a lot different. I mean, Steve Nash was really on his last legs, and I can say that honestly because he had a leg injury, I think, and then I think he started having back problems or something like that at the time, and Dwight Howard, he was right on just about at the point of not being a superstar anymore, because he had went to like maybe one or two teams by then or something like that. And I don't know, like Dwight Howard just wasn't a fit. But, I still say this team was worse because this team definitely, to me, the way the media makes this team seem is like they had way more expectations. I mean, they were giving this team, the NBA Finals, before the season even started, knowing that Russell Westbrook has never even been to an NBA Finals, or knowing Westbrook doesn't have that high IQ and he's all about stats. See, back then, the players I just named, Kobe, Dwight, and all of them, they were about winning, because basketball was different back then. It was more about how you can win and be the best player you can be and be the most dominant player you can be. You know what I'm saying? Now it's about everybody's being friendly, less competitive, trying to get their stats up and trying to get that bag. That's what it seems like most players are on now. So more so than actually winning. So, I mean, basketball was different back then and they play with a different mentality. So to me, with this team now, I would say they're the worst Laker team I've seen, because they got a lot of good pieces. And I mean, to have Carmelo Anthony coming off the bench, you got Malik Monk, you got a lot of just a lot of good role players, you know what I'm saying? And I think, a lot of people say if they didn't have Russell Westbrook, they'd be a much better team. That's possible. That's very possible, but I'm not sure if that's true, but it's very possible. But you can't blame it all on Russ. I mean, as a team, they're just playing bad. And maybe Russell Westbrook has, marinated on everybody on the team, maybe. But at the same time, it's not all about him. It's not all about, him being the only guy. It's just that this team just really doesn't fit. And like I said, the way they're playing right now, they got to be the worst Laker team I've seen, because I haven't seen a Lakers team be this bad with this type of talent. I mean, maybe Kobe and them was, but I just can't remember them being this bad. I mean, this Laker team just looks like they just don't have a chance against anybody. When you're losing to teams like OKC, the Pelicans, and maybe not now this season, but maybe not now this far in the season, but they were losing to these teams when they really didn't have anybody. I mean, the Pelicans just got CJ McCollum. They haven't had Zion all year. So, I mean, it's like, they're not really a good team. It's like they're losing the team so badly. It just looks really atrocious. It looks like they're just a lifeless team. And that's my thing. And that's the reason why I say this has got to be the worst Laker team I've ever seen. I haven't seen a Lakers team this lifeless ever. I mean, you've never seen a Lakers team this lifeless when Kobe Bryant played. I mean, he played with more energy, more spunk, more everything. If Kobe had to will a team to win, he would definitely do it. I mean, that's just the way it was. I mean, but this team looks lifeless. They look helpless, and they look like they just really don't want to be out there. And, when you have players like that, and when the mentality looks like that and it's going through the locker room, it's mainly mainly frustrating all players, but more so than ever, it's frustrating the main player, which is LeBron James, because he's the one has to wear the hat of frustration and embarrassment more than those other players. And this is the reason why I said LeBron's frustrations is beyond what people know. It's definitely to hit his peak, because this team doesn't look like they're going to win any more games the rest of the season. They might win maybe 1 or 2, but that's even looking shady. I mean, the next 10 games, they're only favored in maybe 2 games, and that's not good after with their record being 8 or 9 games under 500, possibly losing out in the play-in. So I mean, it's really bad basketball right now, and if the Lakers don't even make the play-in tournament, it says a whole lot about this team in a negative way, because back in the day, Kobe and them, they didn't have no play-in tournament. It's either you make the playoffs or that's it. You didn't have like a play-in tournament that gives you like a second chance to redeem yourself and then get into the playoffs. There was no such thing. So it's like, this has got to be the worst Lakers team ever if they don't at least make the play-in, because I mean, right now it's looking like they just might possibly miss it. And that's sad to say with all this superstar power they have on there, but it's really actually true. And this is the reason why I said LeBron's frustrations are only going to amount even more if they happen to not make the play-in tournament, or if they get in the play-in tournament and get knocked off the first time, and and that's it. Their season's over. So we'll see how it pans out. But right now, I don't see it getting any better for the Lakers, and I'm pretty sure Lakers Nation doesn't see it getting any better either. But hey, that's my take on everything. You leave any comments in the comment section as always. And hey, Khaliis out.